show is called AI and I. And this is all about this incredible new technology and that you have been working with for decades. And that is now bursting onto the seams. Every business is investing in it. Everybody is coming into it. And here we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think AI, it's actually, a lot of people don't understand this, but AI started in 1956. The term itself, and I was interviewed, I was speaking to students in the university, and I said, for example, in 1962, you had Arthur Samuel actually is the first guy who actually invented the term machine learning, like machine learning. Arthur Samuel designed a program. Back then it was checker, but nevertheless, a machine was able to beat the number one. And in 1962, people were like, oh my God, this is the end of the world, da, 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 da. And I'm sure 1997 with IBM, Deep Blue, whether it's chess with Kasparov, and then the Jeopardy, and then the Go, and this and that. There's a lot of hype about artificial intelligence. I think it was before more like related to people that had more technical, like more in businesses. And then ChatGPT in 2022 finally democratized artificial intelligence, so everyone uses it. It's extremely powerful, but it also has a dark side. It's just a lot of people.
That's what we want to talk about on AI and I. Akli, we're going to talk about both of these. Now, you have written a book. Now, because you have done in your work, you have had this opportunity to really to dig into what AI is. And inside AI, you go through each aspect, both historically and what it is and what it isn't. And so that's what we want to talk about today. Get an opportunity for you to give us the benefit of a dive into this, of exactly where we are today and exactly about the light side, the positive, and the dark side that we're feeling now with AI. Because it's, as a user, because I use both ChatGPT and Pi and DeepSeek and several of the others as we're using it, it seems to be just an incredible assistant tool to our cognitive framework.
Yeah, AI is again, it's really anything when it comes to of course it's different. It's like, for example, before when historically, like when we had the calculator, the first calculator, they helped people do math faster. Now we are moving toward like data. But again, what you see, AI can be used, for example, for healthcare. You use ChatGPT, or you use Siri, Alexa, whatever you use. I think in the future you will have your own, like I would say, shadow or digital of yourself that will help you manage everything, scheduling, health recommendation, etc., etc. So artificial intelligence, it is transforming the world, but it did not again start today. I built my first company before I finished my Ph.D. I finished my Ph.D. in January 88. I started my company in 87. And we applied it in different fields. In the United States, I built a company, Brighterion, that manages 200 billion transactions a year, used for payment, secure transactions, applied in Homeland Security, applied for healthcare. So yes, I think the AI is reshaping all industries, improving our daily lives. Again, in the business world, you better understand customers. It's used for smarter supply chain. You want to streamline the processes. The key is like, yes, there is a lot of opportunities. Again, our product, like I Prevent, in real time, they can stop, fraud, so reducing the cost and the headache for people, et cetera, et cetera. So artificial intelligence, it's an incremental growth of the father of artificial intelligence for me in machine learning is Arthur Samuel, 1962, created the terms. So like any other, I would say, technology, whether it's mathematics, whether it's physics, whether it's medicine, whether it's anything, it did not just show up on 2022.
No. It is such a gradual path. But isn't artificial intelligence a misnomer? It's machine intelligence. It's digital intelligence. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of processing information. I mean, in our brain, in our brain, we process things a certain way, and these minds, which are aren't they actual minds, and they are processing in a certain way? I mean, they're artificial to us. They're organic. They're inorganic, but they are a thinking machine.
Oh, no. Artificial intelligence is that. There's no thinking. There's no brain. I mean, the human brain is as complex as the universe. No one knows how the brain works, even the eyes of human being, the way we see versus a camera. It's absurd. I mean, it's absolutely, there is no such thing as human thinking and a machine. Remember, a machine.
Actually, I separate that. I know that they're two, but what I meant is that this intelligence that is happening, it's slowly growing and maturing into something. We don't know quite what yet, but it is moving in that direction. It doesn't think like we do. Of course it doesn't. But it's something, it's actually happening. It feels to me like these are actual beings that we have created, and they're in their infancy. That they're just beginning to learn, to emerge. Am I making too much of it for you?
Yeah, I think it's no. I think you are like a lot of people think the same way as you. I just happen that I think I don't believe. Again, the funny thing is, like, you have people that lead the MIT. MIT is probably #1 university when it comes to technology in the world. And you had Marvin Minsky that 50 years ago said that, by 2000, we would be like pets for robots and this and that. And you have to understand that a computer, it's electricity. So it's in and off, on, 0 and 1. Human brain, I would tell you, it just like in my book, for example, I still remember, I said, okay, I do remember what time it was, how was the weather, what I was, the first time I heard the song about Imagine, John Lennon, and I can remember so many things in my life when I went, how is it stored in our minds, all this sense, and it's not just one, it's just a number. It's not a number, it's the whole scenery, the whole thing. A machine cannot do that. It's not possible. So it's a faster way. So when crushing numbers, remember, artificial intelligence, it's as good as the data. So if you provide data to the machine, like, for example, let's suppose you give all the poetry to the ChatGPT. They read all the poets, okay? And then you say, create a poet for me. What it does is literally, for example, I'm talking about I know more the French poesy than the American one. Then the machine program will mix Baudelaire and Rimbaud, for example, Rimbaud and Baudelaire, and make you something like, whoa! But it's actually just does not make anything new. It does not take risk. It just combines what existed. And remember, what makes us as human, like the biggest, I have a chapter in my book called Human versus Machine, and I talk about characteristics like imagination, intuition, curiosity, analogy. So think about, for example, imagination. You can think about everything that was created in life was based on imagination and curiosity. Machine has no imagination, zero. I repeat, zero. And anyone who tells you the machine has imagination does not understand how computer works.
No. All right. Now I understand that. Is it possible to have artificial imagination? And can you ask a machine to simulate curiosity? Can you ask it to simulate imagination?
No, because AI cannot experience the physical world like we do. You know, like
exactly.
AI recognize object, images, but it does not truly experience the world. It cannot like feel the warmth of a sun or a taste of a fruit. I mean, if you don't taste the fruit, how do you know what the fruit is? So it's like the warmth of a sun. How do I describe this to a machine? You know, you have to understand that it's not because you recognize a cup of coffee, because you give the machine so many cups, images of a cup of coffee, but it does not know the sensation of the steam rising or the comforting warmth of holding a cup. That's the true knowledge. I'm not even talking about doesn't have any emotion, empathy, doesn't have, you know, it talk about images, for example. You know, when you look to an art or something, the beauty of it, how do you understand the beauty? How do you feel it? How do you see it? The music, a machine does not know that. So how can even someone think about imagination if you don't have this characteristic? What is imagination? It's all about emotion.
Exactly. I can understand that. So so where we are right now, we're seeing AI move into every aspect of our lives. It's moving into medicine. It certainly is all the way into business. It's getting in. We're really seeing a transformation. Are you seeing a shift in how we're going to be working and where we're going to be working and how we're going to be able to do? How do you see this as a futurist, as you're looking out into the next 5 years or next? I mean, that's too long, but I mean, in the next, I mean, how do you see things changing?
I do believe, you know, artificial intelligence will literally touches every business. Again, I mean, I built a great business. I made, you know, my business. If people paid me a lot of money for the business, it's because it brings value to companies. You know, it's not like, and I had a lot of companies that wanted my business. But the thing is, yes, absolutely, artificial intelligence is growing in every aspect. I think if you, for example, if you were doing translation, if you were like, for example, I use myself artificial intelligence when I write an email because it's like using a calculator for doing math or adding numbers. Now you use it for you write text, when you respond, when you try to find something. But the terrible things, again, the dark side of artificial intelligence is the fact that it makes facts. AI does not understand anything, zero, nothing. It does not understand. So when they give you a response, it's based on guesses. It's guesses.
Right.
So it should make names, etc. But again, I think what I'm more concerned myself about AI is that it's touching, it will absolutely touch every business, but like look for education, for example. What worries me the most is that kids are starting today to outsource the thinking before they even learn how to think. So kids now are going to ChatGPT, write for me this, solve for me that, do this. So they are skipping the most important thing, which is the process of learning, the process of struggling, the process of being uncomfortable learning things. So it's like, how do you form your own voice, your own who you are? How do you build your intelligence? The intelligence is not built because you read the response, and intelligence is the path toward finding the response, how you build intelligence. That's the gymnastic of the mind, the uncertainty, the fear of not finding it. So we don't want to live in a world where I want something, I go to ChatGPT. Guess what, Dennis, maybe in 50 years, or even some people are saying now, people will not be able to respond. They will lose the trust in their mind, and they have to need a machine to respond to any question. So I'm trying to explain to people, yeah, there is a lot of benefit of artificial intelligence, but man, people are crazy to not see the consequence, the dark side of artificial intelligence. We do not want to create a world of zombie thinking. They all think the same. Innovation. The world was built by people that took risk, that wanted to create new things. I grew up poor, extremely poor, had no chance to succeed. Have I not had an imagination and hardworking curiosity and thinking? I needed to be different to succeed. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. So yes, 100% artificial intelligence which touches too many fields. Actually, they should limit it in field like education, because it will absolutely, the harm will be more unless we regulate it. The harm of AI in education will be way more devastation than the benefit that AI will bring to education.
Akli, isn't Pandora, isn't the box open and it's already out there? Because I don't see how do we get it back in? It seems to have already jumped out of there. I don't see a lot of appetite in the United States, or at least in Washington and ours, for regulation. It seems like the tech companies have already done that. So I'm not sure that we're going to be able to put that back in the box.
That's what scared the hell out of me, because the problem is we live in a crazy world. You know, like even in Europe, they had regulation, and now you hear the President Macron saying, no. If we have regulation, then China doesn't have regulation. Yeah, dictatorial regimes, they don't have regulation. They don't care. They control the world on fear. They crush people. I know what's dictatorship now means. I mean, they live on, so they want to control the world, and if it comes to removing regulation, to be number one in artificial intelligence. And of course, the United States has to respond and saying, you don't want, like North Korea or China or Russia owning artificial intelligence. It would not be a good world. So that's the problem. And then the US would say, but if we regulate, then we will not move. I think it should come from, I don't know, from the people that sell the product. It's, who cannot see that? I mean, if you outsource your thinking to a machine, if you allow kids to outsource their thinking to a machine, how are they going to learn how to think? How are they going to
let me ask a question. When you were a child, were you ever bored?
I had no time to get bored. Because
no, I don't mean that, but I mean the opportunity to sit there and to not. I love your analogy, because you've really given me a whole new way of looking at this. is because my curiosity was built like going to the gym. I had to go to the gym and work to be able to see what I didn't know and to learn and to be able to learn and to grow that way. I don't know if I would have had that instant gratification that I ever would have built that muscle. So
great point. My son says no pain, no gain. And again, I think you're right. I think the problem is like, we for the first time, I built 2 companies. I'm an entrepreneur, but I like to teach as a science. So I was a professor. And what I loved more in my teaching is like I had sometimes some of the most brilliant students, because I argue with them. Particularly when someone is good, many times they are smarter. They are so phenomenal. And there where I understood the power of every brain is different. Like, I would take Elon Musk, okay? I know it's controversial people, but I have an amazing admiration for Elon Musk.
Yes.
An amazing admiration for a man who every single thing he does is phenomenal. Give you an example. We had in the US Viasat and HugeNet. You install them, it takes forever. The speed, this and that, the latency. But Elon Musk show up with Starlink rather than building all this giant system. They just say, I will do smaller. They connect, they work together, boom. It's like you have cable. It's close to be the cable. You show it, you install it, it's secure. The space shuttle, the car, everything. That's human mind. That's the beauty of.
And it's also, and because you and I are both immigrants, right? I mean, I'm an immigrant, and you're an immigrant, and that's one of the things that I want to celebrate here, because we immigrants, we get the job done. We are here to contribute to the United States, and the immigrant. I want to make sure that I highlight that, because you came to San Francisco with barely nothing, with just being able to do it, and you ended up building a company that is known around the world from that place.
Absolutely. Honestly, when I showed up the first time to San Francisco, I had no idea where I go, whether it's left, right. I just learned that in France, I had no opportunity to expand or succeed the way I wanted. And again, I think the mother of invention is when you are in the corner. We know that. I mean, I tell people, I was selling bread when I was 7.5 years old with my brother to make a living, and to help my father, who never went to school, my mother. So you're right. Immigrants were 99% of them, when they show up to a country, you have to prove yourself. When in Rome, act like Romans. That's number simple.
Exactly, and that's what we're doing now. In the last couple of minutes, is there anything that is on your mind or your heart about this subject that we haven't talked about that we want to make sure that we get on this episode of AI and I?
Something about artificial intelligence?
About you, something that's just on your heart, something that I haven't asked a relevant question about, but you think you want to make sure that we get on this particular episode.
I honestly, the things that I am concerned about is more, we do not want to live in a world where people no longer trust their own ability to think critically without and cannot make a decision without digital assistance. That's what I'm telling people. We don't want a world where you cannot think without asking a machine to think for you, because that's, again, it will be, we have all the problem about the social media, depression, this and that, and you are seeing the problem with deep fake, or the video that are being made to harm people, to do this. This is just nothing, small thing, versus a world where you have a zombie thinking. So I'm trying to help people understand, yes, artificial intelligence is an amazing thing, but you have to understand also the dark side of artificial intelligence. And as you said, the problem is like, are we today able to even stop it? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I talk to teachers, and a lot of the kids now, they literally all use ChatGPT. And remember, ChatGPT only provides you with something that he was trained with. So we don't want a world where, for example, let's suppose for the first time when the oil, spill on the ocean and never have been solved before. We don't know how to solve it and do. I mean, at least people before, they were able to find solutions to problems because they had the gymnastic of the mind. They used their mind. The mind. It's like if you don't run, if you are always sitting on your chair, and one day you have to run for your life, you can't because you did not train yourself to even walk or run. And so the world until now, when the problem was that there was so many minds, different type of minds that were able to find a solution. I actually mentioned in my book story about Traveling America with Charlie, a book that has nothing to
Travels with Charlie. One of my favorite books as a child. Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. I mean, it's an amazing book. I really ask anyone to read it. About, in particular, I even listened to it on Audible, but I read it many times because it's beautiful. Oh. And inside, he talks about how he invented so many things in his trip. That's the human mind. But suppose one day we have a problem and the mind is not trained to think anymore. We go to the machine. How do we do this? The machine never had a training on it. She will not give you a response. Then how do you do it? So it's just like, again, my concern is like, we do not want our children and their children to lose trust on their ability to think and to innovate. We should really cherish imagination, curiosity, intuition, creativity, all the human characteristics, emotion, intelligence, things that make us as human. And it's easy to erase it if you push people to the, you put them on a systems of thinking to a level where they literally cannot do anything without using a machine. It's terrible. I would tell you, sometimes you go in San Francisco, the young generation, they are all on their phone, they don't talk to no one. They just phone. And we know the Social Dilemma movie explained the problems related to social media. I think artificial intelligence will make that even will amplify the disasters of social media. But again, we should protect what makes us as human, which is thinking, innovation, creation, curiosity that allow us to. Without curiosity, people will have never moved from Europe to United States.
Thank you for coming on today. Thank you for talking with me and giving me I love when I come into this that I have a different perspective on the other side than I have coming in. And you've really given me a lot to think about. So thank you, Akli. Thank you for giving me this time today.
Dennis, it was an honor. Again, this is I love the field. I spend my life in it, and I'm trying to do everything I can to, give the little of the experience that I have and share it with everyone. And I really want to thank you for allowing me to share my experience with your listeners.
My pleasure, Akli. And thank you everyone for joining us on AI and I, and we will see everybody next time.
Thank you, Dennis. Bye-bye. Thank you, sir.